Hello, my loves. Johanna Burkhardt here. I mentioned that I would be doing a video on this topic, and so I wanted to hop on and really show up. I just wanted to do this live and just get this information out there, and have this discussion before I move on to the next thing. So for those of you who are new to me and you're just finding me, as I mentioned, I'm Johanna Burkhardt. I am a multidimensional channel teacher and healer, and I'm really here to help you trust and love yourself to go from where you are to where you want to be, by leading yourself. And so one of the things that I had mentioned that I was going to come on and talk about was disclosure. And I actually did a video on this last year, but I really felt called to do it again because the energy shifts and changes depending upon the collective and where we are all at collectively, what the masses are ready to experience. And it's really important that we understand that even though we can sometimes feel the pressure building, like something big's about to happen, we felt that many times last year, right? I know I wasn't the only one where you felt like it's time, this is going to happen. This is, something's going to go down, something's going to surface and show itself. And then it's like this big letdown. And it's because if the collective masses, the majority of people, aren't ready for this information, the energy is going to shift and change. And so we have to recognize that as empaths, as energy readers, as light workers, way showers, whatever you want to label yourself as, that the energy is going to shift and change. So one thing that is not really energy based is something that I'm not sure a lot of people know about, but in December of 2020, President Trump signed into bill, like it was included in one of the COVID bills, that in 6 months' time, he gave the Pentagon 6 months' time to disclose and brief Congress on UFOs, on alien knowledge, on the technology, on all of it. And I want to talk about this for a moment because there's a lot of things that are going to be happening all around this time frame that's going to make this an interesting storyline or narrative that is going to play out collectively. And who knows how this play is going to unfold itself. Remember, the physical reality, our reality, is the slow motion replay. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out on the world stage. The reason why I believe that it is so important that Congress be briefed from the Pentagon on the information that they have is because of where we're going. Now, through several of my energy updates, I have talked about how the world is going to be. When we talk about New Earth, what that's going to look like. And when I predict or believe or feel into that it's going to be playing out, right? So between 2027 and 2030, we're really going to see the new Earth beginning to emerge. And in order for the new Earth to be birthed, to be born and into a physical reality, not that the energetic new Earth isn't already here, but to see it play out on the physical level, that physical manifestation, the old has to be broken down. This isn't nothing new. I've talked about this several times, and I'm going to talk about it again because people find me every day and who have not gone through all my videos, who have not been with me. So I'm going to reflect just for a minute. So when we have these intense restrictions or crazy rules or crazy scenarios that are playing out in the world, that is a pressurizing for those that are still fast asleep or who are in denial because of the fear being so real. Like, the 3 stages of trauma. The first one is denial that there ever is a problem, that there's something wrong, that there is a trauma to begin with, that there is a thing. I know plenty of people who don't believe they've had any trauma in their childhood, but if you really understood what it meant to have a traumatic experience, you would realize it's not just labeled under big T, like abuse and all of those things. So there's a lot of people who are aware, but they're in such deep denial of what's happening because of the fear that comes with that. Because once you realize you're in denial and that denial is broken, it can never, you don't go back. You can't go back. You will always know the truth. You can pretend that you can ignore it and you can go about your life and suppress it. But once you become aware of what you weren't aware of before, you don't ever forget it. Right? You might disassociate, distract, all of those things, but so it's about breaking that denial. And so the collective is being pressurized by the crazy things that we see playing out on the world stage that are like asinine at times. You're like, what? But it has to be that way, because the only way to awaken someone is to shake their safety so much that they awaken to the reality that they are there to save themselves. Like that this is nothing, that the world, they've been lied to. It's the first stage of waking up, is that anger of, oh my God, what? And it makes you check yourself, like everything that I've lived, all my beliefs thus far, everything that I based my truth on, believing doctors, believing the media, believing politicians, believing whatever, right? My parents and their parents and their parents, and that story that's been passed down and built upon and regenerated, right? The fear-based control. When that bubble is ruptured, when we rock somebody to their core by pressurizing them, they awaken. And so every time we go through one of these fear-based distractions, and there's going to be more coming, and I'm just going to put it out there right now, the intensity and the craziness we've seen is only going to increase until a mass majority has awakened, and then we'll start to see that shift. But also, if you think about it, out of restriction, something new is born. Because if you're forced to stay in your house, if you're forced to do this, if you're forced to do that, you're going to find a way to meet your needs within the limitation. So you're going to find a way, you're going to find the potential in the limit. And in that, new things will be born. So when I recently heard Hawaii is going to start requiring people to be vaccinated in order to enter. Well, they're not a separate country. Hawaii is a state. And it's against the Constitution for the government to make us do anything to our bodies. But with the way they get around this type of stuff is by having the airline, which is a private entity, put that restriction on. But what most people don't realize is that it's an interesting thing, because how many times has the government bailed out the airlines? So how much of the airlines are actually government owned? So there's back doors to the way that they do things, right? They create a problem. Government creates a problem to cause chaos, to cause an issue, so that they can then be the savior and bail that company or those people out. And then they kind of take ownership. Well, now I own you. I own these shares. I own this. And if there's anything I ever say, you guys, that doesn't resonate with you, if it's not your belief, that's okay. Just take what does resonate and leave the rest. You will come into your own acceptance of what is at whatever time is appropriate for you. So I don't want to make you feel that I'm telling you something and you're like, that's not true. It's just not true for you. It's true for me at this moment. And so just know that we can stand together with different opinions and different viewpoints. So I'm telling you what I've seen at an energetic level, what I've received, and what I believe personally, and it's kind of all mixed together. So understanding that concept, right, that the government creates a problem and then swoops in to fix the problem, which creates an ownership, right? It's a very narcissistic, sleazy, low down thing to do, but that's what they've done for a very, very long time. So why is it so important that Pentagon disclose information to Congress? Because and this is what a lot of people don't understand either, is there's a lot of people in government office that don't know shit, that don't know the ins and outs. Not everybody has to know everything, right? I believe that there's a place for everybody, and the government, I believe, should not. I believe in transparency, but there is a way of doing it that's ethical, that's bringing stuff out slowly so that they don't cause panic. That's just not how this is going to go down, and we both know it. So the reason why it's so important that they disclose this is because where we're going in the new earth, A lot of people, and this may ruffle some feathers, and if it does, I apologize. And but I do want you to know that I'm doing this for you, and I'm really trying to prepare you guys, not scare you. That's a difference. I want you to be aware of the potential that's possible. It doesn't mean it's going to play out this way. In the next 20 years, give or take, don't quote me on the exact number, time is fluid, we're going to reach a point in our evolution. Maybe it'll be 30 years from now. Maybe it will be 20 years from now. But in the future, right around that time, 20 to 25 years, we will start to see that there are real things like med beds. There are things where people can be healed instantly from cancer. There's things where you can regrow your teeth, where you can shrink your skin, you can regenerate your hair. You can fix the dis-ease in your physical body through the technology that's already available. But here's the thing. They can't come out and say, guess what? We've been sitting on this technology forever, for 50 years, for 100 years. We've been sitting on this technology that we knew had the potential to heal you instantly, to do all these things instantly. And they can't do that because that's going to cause a massive revolution, right? Instead, they have been keeping us sick by poisoning our food, by making them more processed, more genetically modified, by putting fluoride in our waters, by putting pesticides on our foods. They've been, and then moving, Rockefeller moved, right? Conventional. He saw how much money holistic healers and people who did herbs and natural medicines and shamans were making, how much attention they were getting. And so he said, let's go create a chemical-based pharmaceutical, and then let's scare everybody away from the other kind of medicine so that we can monopolize, right? And he also owns oil. Like you see where I'm going here. So they want to make us sick, because here's the thing. Ascension is the physical body. The physical body is what's ascending, nothing else. Our consciousness is expanding, yes, but our physical body is what's actually ascending. And if they can keep our physical body sick and unhealthy, we are dependent. We are dependent on them. So they had to do all these things to invoke control. Now, if all of a sudden they had a technology where they could just heal you and you didn't need pharmaceuticals and you didn't need all these extra things, well, then who's going to make all the money? How are they going to profit? So there's always an agenda with everything that they do. They can't just come out and say, we have all this technology. So what they have to do is start acknowledging that they're aware of things like the Galactic Federation, that there's a whole entity called the light system that's made up of galactic beings, human beings, interdimensional beings. They have to start acknowledging that UFOs are real, that there's galactic, there's other races of beings, hybrids even, that are walking amongst us. They have to start revealing this stuff so that they can be like, oh, look, they brought this technology. So this is why I believe that Trump had put a deadline and said, you have to disclose to Congress by this date. So what's going to happen is this is going to get out, it's going to be heard, and it's going to start being trickled out into the media. And if you notice, so I was sick for 7 days, so I watched more TV than I normally do. And what I noticed was a lot of the commercials are already pre-programming you for this. More commercials have aliens in them, or UFOs. There's little things shows are talking about. They're quietly they're already programming you to prepare you for what's about to come. The reason why it's so important that I felt called to come on here and talk about this is because of what's the energy alignments that are about to happen. So not only is Jupiter moving into Pisces, when Pisces is all about mysticism, the woo-woo stuff, right? And Jupiter is the great benefic. It's the big expander. It really blows things wide open. So Jupiter is going to be in Pisces for 2 months before moving into Pisces full term on 2022. which is a good thing for a lot of people. But for this, it's gonna make anything bigger, right? It's gonna make everything bigger. So it's either gonna confuse you. You're gonna be super confused, and you're gonna be super like mind messed up, right? You don't know which way's up. Or the other side of Jupiter and Pisces is stepping into your intuition, your subconscious, your extrasensory abilities. How well you trust yourself and know yourself is really going to determine which of the two you experience. And it doesn't matter what level of an awakening you are on. If you don't still trust yourself, if you don't still know how to discern for yourself what's for you and what's not, it's going to be a very confusing time for you, because we all go through different levels of our awakening. But in addition to this, Mercury is going to be retrograding, right, in Gemini. Gemini is duality, right, showing you both sides, the good and the bad, or perceived bad, I should say, because nothing's really bad. But also, it's going to be having a very prolonged square with Neptune. And Neptune, Pisces is ruled by Neptune. Neptune is very confusing energy. So here's how it's going to play out, most likely, is you're going to have such mixed messages and such contradictory information. You're not going to know what's up and what's down. And that's what they want. They want to confuse you. They want to distract you. So if you think about all the distractions that have been playing out, right? The 666 shoes, whatever, whoever created that crap, even down to celebrities. There's a lot of celebrities on these payrolls, right? So you think about Jennifer Lopez and Ben Affleck, that's a distracting story. Everyone's talking about that, at least the 3D people. I hate to say that. I'm not meaning to judge people who are asleep, right? Who really play in that area still. The gas fiasco on the East Coast, distraction. There's going to be a food shortage distraction coming next. And it's not that we're actually in a food shortage. It's not that we were ever in a gas shortage. But they created that fear. They created the FOMO, which triggered anybody who is still living in fear to go over purchase, which then creates a shortage, even if it's temporary. That's what happened with the toilet paper. So they put it out there. People buy into it, hook, line, and sinker, and they go out and then they overbuy and hoard. And next thing you know, there is a frickin' shortage. So everything is a distraction to take your attention away from what's really happening, from taking away from the ballot recounts in Arizona. And I'm not saying one party is better than the other. I think the whole damn system is corrupt, including the Republican Party. But I do believe in the Constitution. And I do believe still that we, the people, are the ruling party. And so their job is to distract we, the people, so that they can get away with whatever they're needing to get away with, or not wanting everybody to see. Right? Think about if you're coming out of a grocery store and there was a horrific car accident and you have your little kids. What do we do as parents? We distract our children. Oh, let's go over here and look at this. We want them to not see what's happening. So the distractions are going to get ridiculous. And the way that we can tell how much the collective consciousness, the collective meaning people, right? The collective human race, how awake they are, is when you start seeing, when you start seeing less and less people falling for the FOMO, not falling for it, right? So when they put out the distractions, let's just use food shortage, for example. If they started trickling out that there's going to be a food shortage, probably around grains, probably around meat, all those are coming. And they start saying there's going to be a shortage, And then 2 days later, you go to the store, a week later, you go to the store, and the whole aisle's wiped out because everybody bought it. Well, you're seeing that how much people are still asleep. and it's going to be your indicator. But when you see people not worrying about it anymore because they realize this is a ploy, this is a distraction, then you're going to start going, oh my God, people are waking up. It's happening. People are becoming more aware. So that's going to be your discerning ability to engage. Where is the collective at? Right? But if you're seeing people walk out of the grocery store with 10 bags of rice and 15 loaves of bread to put in their freezer, then you know that, and you can't all of a sudden get it, not because it really is going to be a shortage, but people could just buy exactly what they need or just a little bit extra, but they don't. That will be your gauge. When people stop buying into what the media is selling them and start to discern by using their intuition and trusting themselves. This is why I teach in all my courses and all my private mentorships how to create safety in yourself, how to trust yourself, how to discern. You can't open your gifts and become some awesome healer and reader if you don't trust what you're getting. So you have to begin at the bottom with trusting yourself and discerning when this stuff comes to you. Is this the moment that I need to panic? Is this the moment that I need to run out and stock up on? Or is this the moment that I say, you know what? I might pick up an extra bag or an extra loaf, but I'm not going to buy into this because it's ridiculous. And there might be a shortage because of everyone else buying it. And that's a risk you take. But at the same time, just because you don't join them, right? You can't beat them, you join them. No, that's not the way it works. You set the example. You go first. You be the change. You calm people down. You're like, no, it's okay. We'll be all right. We're safe. Reverse psychology. But so this is the thing though, and why it's so important is, so that means June 1st would be the 6-month deadline that the Pentagon has to disclose this. Mercury goes into retrograde on the 29th. There's no coincidences here. So you're already going to be energetically in a confused state if you're not in a space of good discernment for yourself and not trusting your intuition and reading your energy and knowing these things, right? If you're still real new to that and you're not, you don't have the tools to do that, then you might want to, dive deeper into some of my work or find someone else that you resonate with. Because if you're in that confused state, and a lot of people are going to be not knowing, and God bless them, right? If you aren't where a lot of us are, and you're just someone who goes about their day less believing everything, and all of a sudden there's two completely different narratives and two different stories, I feel much empathy for those people, because that's horrific. That's horrific. What a terrible thing to experience. So us as the way showers, our job is not to, and I was just telling my community in my private Facebook group today, this isn't our time to be like, I told you so. You thought we were crazy conspiracy theories. No. Let's not be the egotistical asshole. When they start waking up to the truth, it's going to shake people to their core. And what they need most is safety. What they need most is to have somebody who is going to sit with them in their dark, to be with them and just allow them to be angry and allow them to grieve and allow them to be sad. It is not a time for righteousness. It is not a time for I told you so. It's not a time for us to be validated that we weren't crazy all this time. They have to see it for themselves. That's how you can't break denial until you realize you're in denial. Denial's my core wound. I know all about denial. Until the day you see you're in denial, anybody who tries to break you out of denial will only push you further into denial. So this is why it's so important for us to be the change. And if you don't know how to be the change, if you don't know how to be a safe person, if you don't know how to create that structure for yourself, just going to plug myself real quick. If you join my portal of potential membership, there is still space for people to get the bonus course of becoming your best self. There's a whole course that I did for this earlier this year in March. So that's a bonus that you get just from being a portal member. I didn't put the link in the description, but I will. I'll put it when I'm done for anyone who wants to look into that anyway. But this is why it's so important for you to lead the way, for you to become the change. So how would you want to be treated if all of a sudden your mask was ripped off, your reality was shattered, and you realized that, oh my God, I have to swallow my pride right now and look at my friend or my daughter or my whatever, my spouse, and be like, they were right. And that whole time I made them crazy. And now I don't know what to do. And they're going to be in fear of coming to people like us because we've been the ones who have been balking at them. Oh, thank you, Corey. Balking at them that this is it, this is it, this is it. And they're not listening, right? We need to make sure that they feel safe to come and say, oh my God, what do I do now? This is scary. I'm so angry. I've been lied to. I've been believing the wrong things my whole life. They need safety. A lot of us say love heals, and of course it does. But the only way we can reach unconditional love is to feel safe. And if you go anywhere on social media right now, if your belief does not match another person's belief, they are attacking you. Because your belief that you're sharing is threatening the core of everything they've built their life on. I mean, really just think about that for a minute. I had 2 videos on TikTok I recently removed, not because I was wrong or because I feel like I'm unworthy or because of any of that, only because I was like, you know what? It's not worth the drama and it's not worth the anguish. I know I'm worthy and I know I'm enough and I know my truth, but I choose not to have people be ugly and hate me and have hate on me. I'd rather just choose to remove the content. And so I did, because I know that my beliefs and the guidance that I receive was shaking their beliefs, creating an earthquake, which creates cracks, which creates doubt in themselves, which then puts them in a state of fight or flight where they're going to put their dukes up and try to take their power back by being an asshole. That's what happens. And even us as light workers can go through that and feel that and be on the receiving end of that when someone's a little bit farther ahead of us. So it's a time for compassion. It's a time for discernment. It's going to be a time for you to start mastering and practicing, I should say, trusting your intuition and discerning your energy from everyone else's. It's not about protection. I am you, you are me. And in the minute we talk about projection, what we're saying is I'm in resistance to experience or feeling something. And when you're in resistance to anything, you're in resistance to everything. So it's about boundaries. And boundaries are not a fence. So I talk about more of this in the Becoming Your Best Self course. And I have there's other videos I did in January of 2020, Seeing Clearly in 2020. If you really want to go through my YouTube videos, I did a good video on boundaries in there. In there, I talked about boundaries. So Seeing Clearly in 2020 will give you some insight too. Linda says, I already feel calm and not worried about what's going to happen. I keep visions of the future new earth. Yes. And that's what you do. And thank you for saying that, Linda, because not everybody can do that, but that's what you do is you stay in the reality of, you understand the reality of what is. And you also, while holding the higher knowing that it's happening for us. It's happening for us, not to us. And even though it kind of sucks, right? They're pressurizing us. They're restricting us. They're saying you can't do this unless you do that. It's going to suck for a little bit. We're going to have setbacks. We're going to have restrictions. We're going to have limitations. We're going to have craziness that goes on. We have to find what we can do. Do what you can with what you've got, with where you are. So the moral of this message is, don't be shocked if they start talking about alien invasions and creating fear around alien narratives or galactic technology. They have to start putting it out there because, again, they can't come clean and be like, you know what, we've been sitting on this technology and testing it for ourselves for so long. We just wanted you to be sick, so we didn't share it with you. We'd rather give you prescriptions and put shit in your food. They're not going to do that. They're not going to take responsibility. Let's be real. But what they are going to do is let the cat out of the bag. Hey, we've been working with these beings, and they're not going to say even that probably. At the beginning, it's probably going to be a more of a fear-based narrative. But again, you have to be discerning about where you're getting your information. And you can go to the CIA website. There has already been a ridiculous amount of information disclosed. You can sit and read through reports and learn how to astral project. You can sit and read through reports about how they've had interactions with the Galactic Federation. You can sit and read CIA documents that have been released that they're just not sharing in the media. If you really want to, go and do it. I encourage anybody who wants to read it from the horse's mouth to do your research and go to the CIA's website. The documents are there. You just got to dig a little bit. And you can use DuckDuckGo as a browser instead of Google or Safari or Firefox that are going to be censoring the content. So they filter out a lot of these contents on these other browsers. So DuckDuckGo is a censor-free browser. So you can use things like that and read this information for yourself. Don't take the narrative. Remember, the media, majority of the media is owned by the same people who own the corporation of the United States, the same people who own the oil industry, the same people who own the banking industry. There's no separation. So be very discerning about what you read and hear and check your facts. If you feel that I'm saying something that doesn't resonate, go research it. Create your own hypothesis. I'm not asking you to take what I'm saying as the only truth. It's my version of the truth. If it doesn't resonate with you, do your research. Go figure it out. My point of coming on here is to say we're going to have a lot of mixed communication. We're going to have a lot of contradictory information. We're going to have a lot of crazy distractions happening because they want you to look at the potential that there could be a war, that there could be a grain shortage, that there could be this, that there could be that. They want your focus over there. So when they put this information out, you're oblivious. Last year, they tried to pass and legalize marijuana nationwide. Nobody knew about that because there were so many other distractions going on. It didn't pass, but I think it was going to come back this year, so that can happen too. I don't know where that came from, but just distraction, right? So your job as the way shower, as the light leader, as the light worker, whatever you want to call yourselves, is to be very discerning. Return to your intuition, return to your higher knowing, tap into yourself. Is this something that I need to worry about in this moment? And I encourage anybody that has the ability to grow their own food to do so, to start learning how to do that. If anything, you can have seeds on hand. If you want to prepare for anything, the best way is just to have seeds and really start playing with growing your own foods. It's the one thing I would love to do. And I live in an apartment and I don't have the sun to grow a lot of the things that I want. But I'll figure it out, right? So start playing with, you can just grow your own food. Because you got to think about these things. They do hold the power, right? They can stop delivering water. They can stop delivering power. Are you going to know what to do when that happens? Are you going to be able to pivot and figure it out? Are you going to trust yourself to know that you will figure it out instead of living in fear and doing all these crazy things to prepare? Because when we prepare for something, we're creating something. So whatever you're preparing for, you're creating in your life. So you can prepare for growing abundance and growing internal security and stability and knowing that you'll be okay no matter what happens. Or you can outwardly prepare for doomsday and create that reality as well. I haven't been on your channel, but I will be now. I appreciate your perspective for doing this for us. And oh, you're so welcome. Thank you for that. So just know if that narrative starts playing out, that's what it is. These beings are not to be feared. It's not that there isn't beings out there who are don't have an agenda. But I don't believe in dark entities. I don't believe in evil in that way. I believe that dark and light are all of the same spectrum. It's just other sides of the coin, right? Dark, light, neutral point, middle, same frequency, no separation. But there are beings and people out there that have an agenda, that have a narrative, and having an agenda is what makes somebody evil, right? If they're doing it for their own good. And I'm here to teach you to do it for me, for you, for us. What you do, as long as it's in alignment for you, it will also benefit someone else. That is good for the whole. But if you're doing something that's only good for you and is not good for the other person, that's an agenda. So there are people out there who do have agendas and they do want to take from you or do something, right? But majority of the other races and beings that are here to help. They're here to observe. They're here to have this type of experience in their own way as well. They're going to start releasing that there's worlds inside the earth. I wouldn't be surprised if they start talking about that they have already found Atlantis. It's not where people think it is because of the shifting of the poles, but all of these things are going to start eventually coming all to the surface. So our job is to trust ourselves and to be that safe space. And for when the stuff starts hitting the fan and starts coming out and people start being in fear and looking for that safe person who's going to say, it's okay, I'm here. You can be as angry as you want, as sad as you want. I'm not going to judge you. I'm not going to say, I told you so. I'm just going to be here with you and tell you that we're going to be okay. This isn't a bad thing. So I think at this point, most people in the, and I might be making a terrible assumption here, but I personally think that the majority of the population does not give two shits about aliens and are at this point pretty aware that we're not alone in the universe. But when they start releasing some of the information, and what the government is known, that's where people are going to start getting in fear because it's going to start rocking their belief systems that they've been lied to. And so that's what we need to prepare for. That's what we need to prepare for. And we do that by doing it for ourselves. The only way to prepare is to practice. Practice being that person for yourself and for your family and for your friends already now, so that when it does happen, you're seasoned. Right? Everything starts with us. We go first. So that's what I have to share with you guys today. Listen to your intuition. Practice discerning what's your energy and what's someone else's. Learn to trust yourself. This is a lifelong journey. I'm not expecting you guys to know how to trust yourselves tomorrow if you're new to that. If you need help, you can come to my Portal of Potential membership. You can check out my courses, and I also offer private mentorship. If you don't resonate with me and you'd like me to direct you to another teacher, I'd be more than happy to do that as well. I love you guys so much. Thank you for being here. If this video resonated, please share it. Share it with your community. Share it with someone that you love that think that they would benefit from this. And then don't forget to subscribe so that when I share more, you'll be here for it. All right. I love you guys. I will see you next time.